What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the iRacing NASCAR Cup Series Career Mode here with the iRacing AI. Today we head to Dover. Very excited for this one here. And now you can see a slight couple of changes here in the R&D coming into this race weekend. Actually, Hendrick and Joe Gibbs, they stay up at the top. They are so closely matched and so hard to beat right now in this career mode. But you can see a few little changes in the midfield with Petty, GMS, RFK, Wood Brothers. We're all very close together now. Rick Ware has also made some gains coming into this weekend, but other than that, nothing really big in terms of the changes that are expected coming into this weekend. You should still see the usual drivers up towards the front, which has been dominated this season so far by Hendrick as well as the Joe Gibbs Racing team. We are coming off of a way better just kind of bunch of races lately here in this career mode. We started out the season pretty well, wrecking every race, and then we've gone like 3 in a row without issues. Now obviously coming off of a runner-up finish and losing by 9/1000ths of a second in Talladega to BJ McLeod, who is now a NASCAR Cup Series winner. However, he needs to be in the top 30 in the standings to be in the playoffs. Currently, he is not in the top 30, so he has some work to do if he wants to get that Live Fast team into the playoffs. Just announced in real life today, by the way, that they are heading to Chevrolet next season in 2023, so we'll try to replicate that in Season 2 of this iRacing career mode, where you'll start to see a little bit more of the 2023 real-life changes and maybe a fantasy change or two, and then when we get later in this career mode, Season 3, all that stuff, you'll see a lot more kind of fantasy style, we'll call it, changes, but nothing too crazy like I used to do in Heat 5. But here we are in qualifying. My first lap got absolutely botched by a terrible turn 1, so it was all down to lap 2, but I was actually kind of scared to push the car too hard on lap 2 after making a big mistake on lap 1, so I backed it down, kind of played it safe, make sure we just get a lap in, and hope for maybe a midfield qualifying effort here in this number 21 car. And sure enough, out of turn 4 down the front straightaway, it was certainly not as good of a lap as I thought it was going to be. We qualified dead last. Kyle Busch up there, you can see his car did not load. He was not on pole, he was in the top 5, but we, like I said, qualified dead last here in Dover. Actually embarrassing, as Martin Truex Jr. is actually going to be on pole with a lot of Joe Gibbs cars up there with Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano as well for Penske Racing. But we're going to head to the grid. We have some work to do. Let's send it to Alan Bailey.
NASCAR is in Dover, Delaware for one of the hardest tracks on the Cup schedule, Dover Motor Speedway. I'm Alan Bailey with coverage on ARN. Dover is known as the Monster Mile because of its high banks, not only in the turns, but on the front and back stretch as well. Drivers have compared this 1-mile concrete track to a roller coaster, or Bristol on steroids. We saw a first-time upset winner at Talladega last week. Could we see another first-time winner today, or maybe even another photo finish? Which driver can conquer the Monster Mile today? Let's find out.
As usual, a massive shout out to Alan Bailey. His channel will be linked down below. I highly recommend checking out his channel. He does some awesome stuff. He just started his own iRacing career mode, by the way. Highly recommend checking that out as well. The pace car is off. We're ready to go green here from Dover. Martin Truex Jr. in one of his 17 home tracks on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule leads the way for a Joe Gibbs Racing 1, 2, 3 as well. Kurt Busch there in the mix in the 2311 number 45 Monster Energy Toyota Camry. But Truex, you know, we've seen Denny Hamlin win. We've seen Kyle Busch win a race. Kyle Busch has 6 stage wins and only 1 race win, but we've seen Christopher Bell look really strong. But Martin Truex Jr., he's been strong, hasn't won a race yet, kind of like we're seeing in 2022 in real life. He was very strong, wasn't winning. Now you're going to notice right off the bat here, stages, by the way, before we jump into anything else, 25 laps. At the end of lap 25 in stage 1, that will be the conclusion, and then stage 2 will come to a conclusion once we complete lap 60. It is a 115 lap race, so the third and final stage today is actually going to be the, I think, longest final stage we have had so far this season in this iRacing career mode. Now you're going to notice a lot of drivers fighting for the outside line. Inside is where you save tires, outside is where you make passes. Here I was at the conclusion of lap 2, just kind of minding my own business, getting a feel, letting everybody kind of work everything out before I really started doing anything. I'm still last place after a couple of laps of racing, but it was all on purpose. Here we are, lap 4. Now a move up the inside of the number 78 BJ McLeod, currently first and second place from Talladega Superspeedway are fighting for the last 2 positions on the track here, with myself and McLeod on lap 5, and this was actually a way tougher pass than I thought it was going to be. So the inside, it's slower, but you will save a lot of tire down here, and you'll be very fast in a long run, and that's something you're going to see myself trying to utilize to the best possible advantage that I can get out of it here later in the race, obviously, when it matters a bit more, as stage 1 is only 25 laps, so you can get away with going pretty hard here, depending on what the strategy is between the AI. Yellow flags up ahead, actually. We have a crash down the front straightaway. A couple cars crashed to the inside, a big stack up on the outside. I think it was the 34 and the 17 crash on the inside wall, and yes, it was Christopher Buescher as well as Michael McDowell have crashed here, and we're going to get a look at what just happened. Early chaos here. It's 3 wide. Michael McDowell is actually going to run Kevin Harvick out of room and basically wreck himself here down the front straightaway, and nowhere to go for the 17 of Buescher, who nails the right rear tire of that 34 and as well gets collected. A violent impact actually for Christopher Buescher right there. I mean, nothing he can really do. A violent hit, and that is going to end the day potentially early for both of them, or at least keep them in the pit lane for a while. There you see on board with the 17 of Buescher, a massive impact right there, and on board, look at the 41 of Priest. The 31 gets a little bit of a hit out of it. Priest does as well, but no real damage to those 2 cars. It only run, you know, about 7-8 laps in the race at this point, so we would just rack it up, get back going here. The 17, the 4 of Harvick as well, actually picked up a lot of damage on the right side, so he was also in the pit lane. So him, Buescher, McDowell all in the pit lane together. They're getting some repairs. You see Kyle Busch there into second place. Hamlin with his employee of Kurt Busch in the mix. Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, all there in the background now. So Busch to second, Hamlin third place, and there's Logano trying to now move up into fourth place as Truex is looking to get a stage win here from Dover and out the Monster Mile. You can see myself now. I was given the permission to basically full send to the end of stage 1 and gain as many spots as we can, because no matter what, we're going to come into the pit lane at the end of stage 1, put 4 tires on it, and basically not care what anybody else does, but hoping they all pit, of course. It's the Monster Mile. This track, it wears your tires down, and you can see a bit of a moment there with the 41 of Ryan Preece running into the back of him. Fortunately, no damage to either of our cars, because this next gen car is just so tough. Get a bit of a break there, but we had worked our way at least towards the top 25, and you can see myself utilizing this outside line. This is where you want to go. Like I said, if you want to make passes, and going around the outside of that number 99 Tootsie's Chevrolet Trackhouse car of Daniel Suarez, who's having a bit of a rough run here today. Suarez always seems to struggle more at the tracks that are a mile length or shorter, and then the larger tracks he really seems to excel at, in road courses as well, obviously with his 1 career win being at a road course at Sonoma Raceway earlier this year in 2022, passing the 41 of Priest around the outside as well in his attempt to make the playoffs here after starting for full-time Cup Series points after Cole Custer got suspended indefinitely from NASCAR Cup Series competition. We'll wait and see what's going on with that for his start now, as we're going to go around the outside of the 7 of Corey LaJoie, but we had only had a few moments left in stage 1, and actually right at the end of stage 1, Kyle Busch was actually making a pass here up the inside of Martin Truex Jr. and bringing Kurt Busch with him, and actually look at this, all the top 5 basically under a blanket here as they head down into turn 3. Kyle Busch to the lead, making the pass on the inside, showing some serious speed in the not loaded paint scheme. There was 2 schemes that didn't load in this race. It was Kyle Busch and Ty Dillon, the 18 and the 42. I don't know what it is, but there's always an issue with like the 18 car loading their paint schemes. I don't know why, but fortunately it was only 2 cars, but it always seems to be like one of the fastest cars that just is in the frame all episode long here now on this final lap of stage 1. Up the inside of Eric Almirola, down the spank straightaway, not going to be enough there to fight him. Tyler Reddick to my outside into turn 3. We've had a nice gain here into the top 25 at the end of the stage. Kyle Busch wins stage 1. I got loose through the center of 3 and 4. Drag racing to the line with Almirola. The caution comes out. That will end stage 1. We'll bring it into the pit lane here. We're going to fill it up with fuel. We're going to put 4 tires on it, but overall in P21, matching our car numbers, so pretty happy with that. Definitely a good rebound after qualifying dead last, like I said. We come in and throw those tires on, and overall had a decent pit stop because we went from P21 to I think P17, so we gained 4 spots in the pit lane. Kyle Busch with his 7th stage win of the season. No one's even close to that there. So he's only got one race win. Although he's won a lot of stages, he hasn't been able to back that up with race victories. There always seems to be something going on with that number 18, but nonetheless, we will get underway for the start of stage 2, right behind that number 1 of Ross Chastain. Trackhouse Racing having a bit of an off day here. You look back to Bristol, both Trackhouse cars were strong. Chastain clearly the strongest car in that race, in my opinion, but both Trackhouse cars wrecked each other in that race and took themselves out. Talladega, well, that was Talladega. Now, usually when it comes to, like I said, tracks that are like a mile and shorter, not only does Daniel Suarez struggle, but Chastain seems to be a little bit off as well at these kind of tracks, and you're seeing that replicated here today in Dover. Now, is actually, I'm to the outside here trying to make a pass on that number 1 car. 3 wide in front of us. We saw 3 wide lead to an accident early in the race there. Byron on the outside, Cindric there in the middle, but they made it work nonetheless, and I would actually get past the 6 of Keselowski and using that outside to my advantage once again here. Now, as you can see, lap 33, somebody's off the pace up there. That's the 34 of McDowell, who was in the first incident, and he is back on track, but he is significantly off the pace, and immediately I said, get him out of here. So I have to do my own race control kind of deal here, and I saw he was 23 laps down. There's no gain for him, so I just said, get him out of the race. I kicked him out, and then I actually get trapped on the inside, and I'm still trying to save tires, because remember, this stage doesn't come to a conclusion until the end of lap 60. So long run pace is going to be important here in Dover in stage 2, and especially stage 3, where we have a nearly 60 lap final stage. It only takes about 10 laps of saving tires for you to see the difference, and I was starting to see the difference. I had run down the 7 of Corey LaJoie with one of the best paint schemes of the season, by the way, right there, but I'm able to make a pass on him on the exit of turn 2. That's a move for 18th place, so we stayed in the top 20 at least while saving all of these tires, and then we could basically spend the last, 20 laps of the stage just picking these guys off, picking these positions up, and I get to the outside of Chris Buescher in the 17. That's actually not for position. He is a lap down. He's still got speed, but this was for position right here, passing the 24 of William Byron. That moves us up now into P17, and then we're running down the 10 of Almirola. You see myself getting loose there. There's been a couple of moments this season where that kind of looseness right there, I overcorrect and crash a car. Thankfully, it seems like we've gotten better at that, and we're finally kind of shaping into where we need to be, into our comfort zone in this iRacing career mode now, as we were in this battle coming up on 10 laps ago in the stage with Almirola, with Cindric, our Alliance teammate there for Penske Racing, and hopefully teammate for next season, but now making a pass on the, of course, soon to be retired Eric Almirola. No matter what, Eric Almirola will not return in season 2 for the 2023 season of this iRacing career mode. He will be gone. We passed the 10, we passed the 2 of Cindric around the outside, and you can see, like I said, the tire saving that we did early is really paying an advantage now. Up front, though, Denny Hamlin actually putting the fight to Kyle Busch late in stage 2. He's going to pass the 18. Joe Gibbs has dominated this race so far, and Denny Hamlin now takes the lead. Here we go around the outside of Chastain with less than 10 to go. This is now for 14th place, as we would close in on the back of the McDonald's 2311 Toyota of Bubba Wallace after getting a little bit loose there. Trying to be careful when battling Bubba Wallace. We, of course, had a run-in with him recently at Martinsville where he said, get out of here. He dumped me in Martinsville, and it didn't feel very good. Here's a replay of that here a few episodes ago when he absolutely sent us into turn 3. We had a few moments with him earlier in that race where he did not appreciate what we did, and in my opinion, rightfully so, put me in my place. So we're really trying to give Bubba extra room for the next little while here, trying to not have a run-in, but he was struggling quite a bit, and I was able to pass him now, as Denny Hamlin, though, would come through on the exit of turn 4, lap 60, to win stage 2 here over Chase Elliott, who would actually get past Kyle Busch. Elliott has been moving his way forward. You see the rest of the top 10 coming through to cross the line. Austin Dillon with some stage points, Chase Briscoe as well with a stage point, Alex Bowman there in P9, who's been consistently running in stage points all season, but P13 for us here in stage 2. Pretty happy with that, as we would head into the pit lane, as we're actually going to go for a spin into the pit lane. We've actually spun ourselves out. We're going to lose a position or two to the 24, the 2, the 23 as well. A huge error right there, an embarrassing mistake. I would rather just not talk about that. I literally throttled up and just spun it around. That was stupid. There you have it. I literally just throttled up and spun around. So embarrassing. Fortunately, it didn't hurt us too bad because everybody had to stop because I was in the way, and I actually kind of backed up to make sure I was in the way. But we were getting ready for stage 3, and look who the new hero is of the NASCAR Cup Series. Ty Dillon remained on the racetrack on about 30-lap-old tires. Why? Who knows? But look at this. Kyle Busch, we said it. Kyle Busch winning a whole lot of stages always seems to find something to take him out of the competition to win the race. Well, here you have it. This is the new one for today. He's getting held up by the 42, who's on unbelievably old tires. Hamlin and Blaney drive away. They're going to try and force it 3 wide here, and I'm loving this because it's an opportunity for myself to gain positions. I've moved up to the outside at this point here now. In the background, I think the 41 might have had some contact with the 43. Couldn't quite tell here. Chastain's on the inside, losing some ground. There you see Daniel Suarez as well. You see some damage on the 41 now. He definitely had some contact. And Suarez contact right there with a 6 of Brad Keselowski down the back straightaway. That was pretty mild or light contact, so they were able to get that sorted out pretty easily here now as everyone is navigating around that 42 of Ty Dillon, including myself here now. So we had gotten through that and once again had just planted my number 21 car on the inside, just trying to save these tires. Look how long we have. We're on lap 67 of 115 and we're already in the final stage. We have a lot of time to work with and no pit stop needed, so you could try to actually pit in this final stage and make up the time. I just didn't think it was going to be worth it, and I can confirm some drivers are going to try that. However, I decided to save my tires, and eventually it's going to come to us. Just try to stay within the mid-teens, be around P16, P15, P17, P18 I can deal with, but definitely just trying to remain in that general area. And we were down to P17 here on lap 73. Eric Jones up my inside now, trying to take that 17th spot, and we actually had 2 lap cars kind of interfering and getting into the battle. They were really fast. It was Kevin Harvick and Christopher Buescher in the number 4 and the number 17, and here's Harvick now up my inside, nearly into my door. He actually overshot the corner. By lap 76 though, the tires, well, they were starting to come into my advantage already. Here I am passing the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. around the outside. There's P17 back in our favor, but that 4 and the 17, they were all over me here, and I'm closing in on the back of the 43 of Eric Jones now, and you can see the difference. Like I said, saving tires is key, and it is paying off again. Now making a pass on that 43 Petty GMS driver, and then you can see though the 17 got to my outside and was hauling the mail. Chris Buescher loving being a part of the battle that he has no place being in right now when he's like 7 laps down, and Harvick, who's like 8 laps down, 9 laps down, is just behind us as well as we head down into turn 3. The 17 basically stomps in front of me, and we run into his quarter panel, nearly crashed. The 43 cuts me a huge break there. We save it. We lose a position to Bubba Wallace, but nearly a big accident with a lapped car there in the 17 of Chris Buescher. Had to cool down, had to calm down, and get back into the right mindset here to work our way back forward, because I realized the advantage we had. We lost our cool in Martinsville, if you remember, after we got wrecked by Bubba Wallace and things went downhill. I didn't want to go through that again, so I just calmed down and got back into the zone, and we got past the 17, we got past the 4, we got to the outside of the 41 of Ryan Preece, and now we were approaching 30 laps to go in this race, and here we go. The gains, they're happening. We had run down the 8 of Tyler Reddick, and we were absolutely hauling the mail. Denny Hamlin's continuing to lead in this race. Kyle Busch was actually moving his way back forward into the fight of this race. Blaney's second, Truex third, and look at this. There you see Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. They are not racing the 42 for a position. No, they're already lapping that 42 of Ty Dillon here, but he is still holding up drivers. But look at that. You see Kyle Busch right there briefly. He's back in this behind Brad Keselowski, who's having a fantastic run here as well. You saw the R&D updates, and RFK is absolutely smashing that out of the park compared to where they should be on the leaderboard now, as you can see myself continuing as well to now pass the 99 of Suarez, who's having a very strong run here with 25 laps to go compared to what he was running earlier. And then immediately we put the fight to the outside of the Hendrick car of William Byron, having a great run here on this number 21, up at a P12 in a car that's, you know, mid-teens to 20th place running kind of competition, kind of equipment. A few laps later, here's the battle for the lead. Martin Truex Jr. blows the doors off of Denny Hamlin and takes the lead back, and he started on pole looking for his first win of the season, but Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch are absolutely flying. They are the 2 fastest cars on the track. They're both very similar on pace and unbelievably fast right now, and there we go, battling Eric Almirola. This is for P11. You see the 42 of Ty Dillon just in front of us here. He is on unbelievably old tires. He's going to be coming into the pit lane momentarily, but this could be an opportunity for myself to clear the 10 on the exit of turn 2. Yes, it is, up at a P11 as the battles continue. Kyle Larson is going to move up into P3, and you can see how quickly him and Kyle Busch are closing the gap, and Kyle Busch is trying to keep Larson, you know, right there with them. And out of turn 2, both of these drivers, by the way, out of turn 4, sorry, he's going to pass the 12, but they're both looking for their second win of the season. A few laps later, here they are all over the outside and back of Denny Hamlin. Larson to second, Kyle Busch about to follow through to get to the outside of that FedEx Toyota Camry and move himself up into 3rd place here. Truex is about to be under attack for the lead. There you see the 42 now. He was actually exiting the pit lane with 16 laps to go. What a drive, saving the tires up to P11, but I was starting to fall off myself as well. But who wasn't was Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Here they are now, both fighting to the outside of Martin Truex Jr. Busch is all over the rear bumper of Kyle Larson, but Larson takes the lead. Truex, not much of a fight there. The 19 looked good for a few laps, but that was it, because there they go to P1, P2. The fight is on for the win. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, they fought for wins before. We have seen some great moments in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. You think back to Chicagoland in the Cup Series in 2018. You think back to Bristol in 2013 in the Xfinity Series, where those two had one heck of a scrap for the win as well. Crazy to think that is coming up on 10 years ago now as we come through to 8 laps ago. Unfortunately, I had fallen off here and William Byron had run me down, and P11 was not looking great. I put myself on the outside to try and make it difficult for William Byron to be able to pass me, but he had way too much speed for me to handle at this point in the GP, or in the race, sorry, and he would actually flow through into P11. We dropped down into P12 as Todd Gilliland's flying on new tires, so he was one of the drivers that had pitted. It was a lot of cars towards the back that decided to pit and try the 2-stop strategy. However, they tried it really late in the race, which wasn't going to benefit them. Tyler Reddick had run me down, but fortunately I was able to stay ahead with the 47, kind of checking him up, and then the battle continues. Here's Corey LaJoie up at the front, actually unlapping himself around the outside of Kyle Larson on new tires, and that's going to hurt Larson and keep Kyle Busch in striking distance, and I'm most impressed that Larson has been able to hold on. Now just 3 laps to go, and you can see me kind of mirror driving the 8 of Reddick, just trying to stay in front of him here, and I was looking pretty good here, approaching the final couple of laps here, and with 2 laps to go in this race, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, this battle that has kind of been raging on for now almost 10 laps or so. You can see the gap they have over everybody else, and there's quicker cars trying to navigate around them on the fresher tires. But here we go, a lap and a half to go, entering turn 3 and 4. Kyle Larson has half a car length. He's basically just trying to keep Kyle Busch from getting to the outside of him, because he'll be okay as we approach this final lap. Larson, Busch both looking for win number 2 on the season. Busch has been so strong winning stages. Larson hasn't quite done that, but Larson, he is the point leader. He's been so consistent, and Kyle Busch right there gets to the outside, but still not enough. He is looking to get to that right rear quarter panel. He has got one shot here as they head into 3 and 4 for the final time here from Dover.
Through 3 and 4 for the win at Dover. Larson on the bottom, Busch on the high side by side. Give it to Larson at the line. Kyle Larson wins his 2nd race of the season and somehow holds off Kyle Busch on the bottom.
Larson with an unbelievably close battle right there at the line, and 2 races in a row, a photo finish between the 1st and 2nd place drivers there as we cross the line for P12. Very happy with that there, as you see the finishing order on your screen. What a race. Honestly, one of the best races I think we've had in this iRacing career mode so far, if not the best. It was a lot of fun, had chaos, had a lot of great racing, green flag runs, had everything, I feel like, here. As you can see, the updated point standings. We are actually now up well inside the playoffs. I say well inside, we're like good by like 14 points over Austin Dillon, so it's not something to be comfortable with, but it's still very promising. Larson with win number 2 in the season and increases his continuingly increasing points lead. But that's going to wrap it up. In the next one, we head to our first non-real track from the schedule, and that is actually Chicagoland. I am excited for that one, and I hope you guys are as well. We'll take off from the runway, head to Chicago, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody.